How y'all doing? How you doing? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. I see somebody lurking. Are you lurking? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about mental health issues. Let's talk about anything y'all want to talk about. Do you deal with depression, anxiety? Anxiety. Somebody's watching me. Anxiety. Time to make these egg sandwiches. Back on that diet. Ooh, let me turn this AC on. Grab my charger. Put that AC on. Just walked in the house. I still gotta paint my walls, man. Anxiety. Somebody's watching me. Anxiety. Somebody's watching me. Anxiety. Somebody's watching me. Anxiety. Make some eggs, man. Where you at, limited? That's what I'm talking about. Thank you for hitting that like button. You want to talk about something? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about anxiety. Let's talk about mental health. Let's talk about things that everybody go through, but they don't like to talk about. That's what we really should be talking about. Hey, Boogie Time. Good morning. How you doing? How are you doing? Are you doing okay, Boogie Time? It's good to see you in here, Boogie Time. It's good to see you in here. Consume the goodness. That's what I'm talking about. How you doing, consume the goodness? I want to consume the goodness. How you doing, consume the goodness? It's good to have you in my chat. It's good to see y'all in here this early morning on a Saturday. I hope y'all rested very well. Hope you're having a phenomenal day. I'm doing good. I mean, I kind of guess I was too relaxed on vacation, and I got to working, started moving all quick, my legs started hurt. Part of my leg hurt. But it is what it is. Recovery. It's all about recovery, baby. Recovery. Y'all want to talk about stuff though? Like some people might not even know that they have mental health issues. They might not realize that they have anxiety. They might not realize that they have depression. They might not realize that they're going through things in their own battlefield inside of their head. Y'all want to talk about stuff like that? I mean, we ain't really got to talk about that, but I feel like that's a good subject to talk about. Because it's times when I deal with anxiety, I be dealing with anxiety when something like, I start whelping up and stuff. I don't know what they call that, I'm about to get these eggs started, I know I'm about to get these eggs started. Back on my diet. I was going to walk on the treadmill today, but with me kind of like overdoing it my first day back at work, I don't want to take no chance of doing all that. I don't want to hurt my... What's up, also Rash? I know that oh so ravishing. And that boogie time got that love talk. That love talk. Sunday at 5 p.m. It's coming tomorrow. Special guest. Yo, be on the lookout. Man, look, anxiety, man. And anxiety hits you in so many different ways. You know, there's so many different ways. Like, you could be overthinking things. You could just be stressing about something. And, like, for real. You got church? Dang. That's good. Go get that church in. That's what I'm talking about. You know, I ain't been to church in a while. You know, I ain't been to church in a while. I can't lie. That's something I do need to do. If somebody does want me to go to church with them and I ain't going to church with them, I'm not even gonna lie. At first, I read the chat kind of wrong. I thought you said you was going to churches. You know, I'm glad I kind of read that because that would have just looked bad. You talking about church and I'm talking about going to eat chicken over here. And that would have not sounded right. So I'm glad I kind of did read the chat right. You know, don't be judging me now. Don't be judging me, but I almost did read that wrong. I thought she said she was about to go to churches. You know, I don't. You know, nobody get the wrong idea. You know, I ain't trying to be funny or nothing like that. You know, that's nothing to really joke about. You know, stuff like that. But I'm glad I read that right. You know, because I was thinking about churches yesterday. You know, I was thinking about church not too long ago too, because you know I'm supposed to go to church with Bay up in September. She's supposed to take me up to her church. But you know, I was over there thinking about churches. Yeah, was it yesterday? No, last week. And Babe brought it up, you know. But it's good. Look, I like churches now. You can go give me that fried okra. Give me that fried okra. Give me some baked macaroni. You know, church's chicken ain't really that good to me, but I do love the sides. I do love the biscuits. I don't even know why I'm talking about church's chicken right now when we were just talking about church and mental health. That changed up to a whole church's chicken. You know, I like Popeye's chicken, but I always go next door and get the biscuits, the okra. You know, I do like Popeye's red beans. And now I'm talking about food. Look at me. I'm about to cook me some eggs and stuff, and I'm talking about food. You know, I'm talking about food over here. What's wrong with me? You know, have a church. You know, it's really like a Texas-style chicken. You know, like, you know, we got Popeyes. You know, we Popeyes, you know. Like Popeye the Sailor Man. Doo-doo. You know, the big old spinach man. You know. Y'all let me know in the comments too. Do y'all eat spinach? Y'all eat spinach? That's all right. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for hitting that like button, Kasum. I appreciate you for coming in there for real. You know, I really do appreciate you. Thank you, So Ravishing. Thank you, Boogie Time. Thank y'all for hitting that like button. Thank y'all for coming to spend any kind of time with me. I just go on live for a little bit today while I cook my eggs. Get my eggs right. Ooh, I love spinach dip. They got the condiments in the dip. They got the spinach artichoke dip. All that good stuff, you know. Right now, it's all about eating these eggs on this keto bread. You gotta stick to my diet. Today, I'm gonna eat me one bag of Quest chips, one bag of Legendary chips, you know. And I'm gonna let y'all know. And shout out to Boogie Time TV, guys. Doing her little thing over there, driving her music, driving that stuff, you know. Shout out to Boogie Time. Shout out to Also Ravishing, too. Shout out to all y'all, for real. But me and Boogie got a different kind of understanding, you know. When it comes to that Boogie Time TV, you know what it is, you know. eggs right. Let me get these eggs right. Do y'all eat eggs? Some people don't eat eggs. Y'all let me know. Y'all drop it in the comment. I want to see if y'all eat eggs. Y'all eat them eggs? Them huevos? Y'all know what a huevo is? All right, let's talk about mental health for real. I don't know. I need to talk about my topic. Let's talk about my topic, everybody. How do you feel about mental health? Do you feel like you deal with it and you don't deal with it and you don't know if you deal with it? Because a lot of people don't even know that they deal with mental health. Like, for real. And it could be really tricky, like Boogie Tom said. It could be really tricky because there might be a lot of people talking about other people and their mental health. There might be people talking about their mental, like other people's mental health. But then they don't realize that they got mental health of their own. You can't be expecting, like, I don't know what to explain. All right, do that food giveaway. Thank you for stopping in, Oso. Appreciate you. Go do God's work. I love it. Cause I remember when I was in a church group, that was one thing that we did do was go give food away. And that was my favorite part, man, because we used to go give it to orphanage kids. And it was just the joy on their face. Just them seeing that they was getting raviolis, boxed macaroni, ramen noodles. Like, you excited about that. Some people get not even excited about the simple things. They're getting cheap food, but they love it. They love it. Like, that was one thing I enjoyed when I was in a church group, just seeing the smiles on their face whenever we would go give the food to them. Man, and the joy on their face from them kids, just, you gotta think, raviolis was what, like 60 cents back in the day? 50 cents a can, and them being so excited that they was getting SpaghettiOs and beef ravioli and stuff like that. That was just a blessing. Like, I mean, it was just, I don't know how to explain it. You would have to just see the joy on them kids' faces because they ain't got parents as it is. And then they got people that want to, like, they got people that come visit every week, but you don't know if you're going to get adopted that week or if you're not going to get adopted. And that's the sad thing, So people got parents out here and all that stuff. They don't know what it's like to be an orphan or to live in an orphanage house, because it was a big old orphanage house where it was hundreds of kids. I don't know if you ever watched like that movie Like Mike. Like with Bow Wow, it was kind of like an orphanage house like that. And you never know if he got picked or not. You might be sitting there, like nobody wants older kids. So you have a lot of older kids that's there that's just going to be there for a long time. And that could play a big part of mental health as well. If you have a parent in your life, if you don't have a parent in your life, some people might disagree with that. Some people might agree with that. But, being able to, be in your kid's life is a blessing. Some parents don't want to be in their kid's life. I mean, I don't understand it, like, mental health is important because mental illness is real and many struggle, temptations, etc. Slowing down, praying, and reflecting is key for me. Yes, and it's very hard, Boogie, because I dealt with mental health for a long, long time. Like, really, it was mainly with me was anxiety and depression. Depression was real big on me because I was always, when I was growing up, I was always a big kid. I was really, like, that's why I feel like mental health, too. And I think that could have been a part of why I was so shy when I was younger. Like, you wouldn't believe it, but I was shy a lot. And when I was young, I was probably 10 years old, 11 years old, and I was 260 pounds. And I was so big, I was in 44 pants. I'm not even in 44s now, And, what's up, Kiss from Jay? And the mental health problem was just with me being so, when I was younger, overweight. You know, you got to go to school and do all these activities and stuff like that. And I don't know, mental health can be in so many different ways, because depression was one of my biggest ones, you know. And depression was really one of my, because I was depressed because, you know, like I used to even go, they made me take a anger management class when I was younger, because I went through some stuff in school. And it was just bad that, you know, he used to try to tell me because I was big, he used to make me do push-ups in front of him. That's why I was angry. I wasn't even angry. So I don't know how somebody could tell you that you're angry and you're not even really angry. You know, it wasn't that I was angry. You know, I wasn't angry at all. You know? Yes, yes. And you know, I want to see a Boogie Speaks on this topic as well. You know? I do want to see a Boogie Speaks. She probably already did a Boogie Speaks on this. You know, bring back that 2 cents, you know? Let's talk about that 2 cents, you know, because really though, I might even talk about like, I might have a story to tell, you know, about this stuff. You know, mental health could hit you in so many different ways. It could be from family things. It could be from you as a person. Like, you got to think your family could play a big part in your mental health as well, guys. Your family, your friends, the people that you chill around. There's so many different ways and so many different things that mental health could hit you in. You know, it could be your family. It could be your friends. You know, you might be chilling around the wrong crowd that could be bringing your mental health down. People talking down on you. People praying on your downfall. And it could be anything. You know, like mental health is a real issue out here in the whole world. Like, and it don't even have to be just like having anxiety. It don't have to be just having depression. You know, like some people think it just be them things. It's not just them things, though. It could be anything from you growing up in a household where you didn't have support, where you didn't have, you know, financial aid. You know, you might have only lived in a 1-bedroom shack with 10 siblings in the house. You know, it could be so many different things. You know? So I believe everybody really goes through some kind of mental issue. Exactly. You know? Exactly, Boogie. Shayla. I don't even know why I'm calling you Boogie. I usually call you Shayla. You know, Shayla, you be having some good topics, you know? I like your little Boogie speech, your 2 cents, your winging it with positivity. I like the way that you do things, you know? And the way that you support, you know, support the people that support you, you know? You know, shout out to you, Shayla. I know you be doing your little thing over there. Hope you and mom are doing all right today. Enjoying y'all off day today. And I hope y'all ain't having no kind of worry in the world today. Hope y'all go eat something good. Not have to stress about nothing. I want y'all to have such a good day. I know you and mama. I want you and mama to have a phenomenal day. Like a truly phenomenal day. You know, shout out to everybody too. Shout out to Kiss from Jay for stopping in. Shout out to also Ravishing for stopping in. I was just coming live for a little bit. You know, while I cook and eat. So I got like my leg hurt a little bit, my head hurt a little bit. And I just wanted to talk about it because, you know, like even people like that I work with at my workplace, you know, they might not realize that they deal with mental health. You know, I think a lot of people don't know that they deal with mental health. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know that I deal with mental health. a lot of people don't know that they deal with mental health. You know, a lot of people too. I'm gonna take these glasses off and this hat. I got a headache. Can't lie to you. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I guess because I gotta get back in my working routine. Get back in my working routine. I don't know what it is. You know, but like even like one dude at work, you know, he's always talking about what could this, that. You know, like especially he's always blaming other people, like the world owes him or something. Like this is what he's always saying, right? One of the guys like that works at my workplace, you know, like, well, my father wasn't in my life. You know, well, my mother didn't do this. I'm like, bro, you in your 30s. You still talking about what your father ain't do for you. If your father ain't never come back for you, he ain't never come back for you. You still dealing with trauma from that? You talking about what your mom ain't did for you. You've been 18 over 15, 20 years almost, bro. You can't be saying what your mom ain't do for you and what your mama did do for you. What's up, Anthony? You should be making your own little thing now, bro. You know, like I can see you saying it as a teenager or something, but you know, you in your 30s, you know. You over here talking about, you know, some people ain't got no mom or some daddy, so you can't be blaming them for what's going on now. You know? What's up, my time? I done come see if you've been driving in them viral hits, you know. You probably got some kind of viral hits going on over there, huh? That boy, my time in the building. You know? Yeah, hey. And I've been watching a lot of videos, you know, like, man, like, getting a therapist could be a very good thing for some people. You know, like, listen, even if you got, like, somebody you could express yourself to, like a spouse or somebody that you really truthful with, like, and, you know that you could talk to them about your issues, too. If they're really going to listen to you, though, like, not just bullshit you, and one thing go in one ear and out the other ear, they acting like they care about what you going through and shit like that, you know, and I'm not even trying to curse or nothing like that on my live, you know, but like if you really got somebody that's gonna listen to you and feel your pain and all of that, like, and they really there to listen to you, like, you know, it could be your spouse, it could be your best friend, it could be anything like that. If you got, I mean, you know, express it to them. You know, like they could be, you know, like if you can't afford a therapist, because you know therapists ain't gonna, yeah, talk to God first. You know, and if you don't believe in God, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you're lost as it is. You know, you should always talk to God first, because God ain't gonna put you in a bad spot, like anything that you can't handle, anyways. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. You know, God ain't gonna put you in nothing that you can't handle. You know, he's just not. You know, you should be able to handle everything. You know, it might be tough times, it might be hard, there might be some trauma, it might be some hardships. But for real, like he ain't gonna put you through nothing you can't handle. I mean, trust me, I done seen it with my own eyes. I done seen it with my own eyes, cause look, when I was homeless, you know, like a lot of people don't know this, you know, and I might drop a video about this too. But when I was homeless, that's what I used to tell. Like, I really used to get on my knees and cry and say, you know, this might be where I'm at right now, but this ain't gonna be where I'm at in about a year. You know, and I wasn't even homeless that long. He makes a way for you. He really makes a way for you, like, and you know you can't like, and you know you can't be afraid to cry. You know, God, you know, for God or for yourself. You know, you can't be afraid to cry for yourself. You know, you can't be afraid to cry to God. I mean, it is what it is. Like, I mean, if you're gonna let your tears out, let your tears out. He's always listening. He's always there. Like, I mean, when I was down on my last, like for real, like there was nobody to talk to, nobody. You best believe he's listening. When you think he ain't listening, when you think it's your last, he's gonna pull away. He always find a way. Even like, I don't know how to explain it, but he always finds a way. When I couldn't pay for something and I thought my bill wasn't gonna get paid or something like that, a side job came up. When I found out something else wasn't gonna work for me, bam, something popped up. You know, like when you think stuff ain't gonna happen for you, it happens for you. And you know, I mean, if you don't believe in God, then I don't think we could really like talk, because you know, that's just how I feel. You know, I ain't got nothing against nobody's religion, nothing like that. You know, like, but you know, I truly believe because it's things that I seen with my own eyes. You know, and things that I witnessed and things that I've been through in life. There's no explaining, you know, what really, you know, like one time I could tell a story about when my tire flew off my car and I was on a highway, when I was truly on a highway and my tire flew off and I looked in my rearview mirror and I see the tire flying back at me and it bounced off the top of my car and I almost went in the ditch. But my car did not flip or nothing. So I'm going like, what, 55, 60 miles. My whole tire flies off my car. My car don't go scraping on the ground, nothing like that. I just slowed down and went to the side. You know, and you got to think, these three Mexican, Spanish, Hispanics, whatever you want to call them, was laughing at me. It was construction workers. You know, but they was laughing at me. What if my car would have flipped and I would have died? Would they would have still been laughing at me? And, you know, I was angry because they was laughing at me. But I said, I'm not going to get angry at them. Because I could be dead right now. My car could have flipped. But, man, I was blessed. Man, blessed. Because really, and then they said, why my car broke? You know, I had four lug nuts. 2 out of the 4 was only on there. The two of them snapped off. I didn't know that. Man, you know, like, that's a blessing. You really gotta think, you know, there's so many different ways. And I could tell you the one time when I was 5 or 6 years old and I was at the wave pool and I was trying to surf the little tube and I was in a 6 foot. And I remember, all I remember is the lifeguard waking me up. I remember me going to the bottom of the pool because I was so short. My feet touching the bottom, I'm swimming all the way to the top. I'm sinking back to the bottom, going all the way to the top. Next thing you know, I black out. But the lifeguard saved me. And he got the water up out of me, but I remember I drowned. That's all I remember. Boy, thank goodness for that lifeguard. Boy, that boy brought me back to life. And I thought he wouldn't have seen me. Man, there was so many times that stuff happened to me. And that's why I feel like I'm here for some kind of reason. And I always feel like you're here for a reason. There was one time at work, I worked at the Dollar General. Something fell on top of me. I was in the back room unloading the truck. Big old metal container filled with bleach fell on top of me. And you know, this thing was heavy. It was probably over 2,000 pounds, maybe, because it was filled up front and back. It was probably about 30 pounds. It was probably over 1,000 some pounds. It fell on top of me. I blacked out. Next thing you know, the thing just lifted itself off me. I couldn't lift it. It was so heavy. And I'm tripping. I run out the back door. What's up, Coach Mean Rain? I go check out the back door. I think the truck driver lifts it off me. No, it wasn't the truck driver. There was nobody around. He said he was in the truck unloading it. And he didn't even know I fell. You know, I mean, there's ways, man. Like, There's reasons why you here. I'm doing good. I'm eating me some keto bread with some eggs and cheese. You know, thank you, Mean Rain. I appreciate you. I know you be doing your little thing. You know, right now I'm back on my diet. You know, I was on vacation, so came back. I'm back to eating my eggs on my keto bread and my little legendary chips and my Quest chips. Trying to switch it up. You know, trying to eat. You know, got to get back in my routine. It's day 4. I'm trying to get back in my routine since I'm off on vacation. Andy Mine, what's up, Andy Mine? You know, I had a good vacation. You know, just like you said though, when you came back from when you was out of town. You know, you said you ate that good Southern food, and you had to get back in your routine. You know, you had to get back to your clans. You know. Up in your video. You know, thank y'all. I had a good vacation. And now I'm back to business for right now. Till next vacation, huh? You know, I like to cheat I like to cheat when I'm on vacation. You know, cause I don't get that many vacations a year. You know, so when it's time for vacation, I'm eating. When I'm out of town, I'm eating. It is what it is. Cause I know it might be hard to lose weight, but if you got that mindset where you can lose weight and you got the discipline, like the day I came back, I went to go eat Chinese with my brother that night, and now I'm back on my 4th day straight, back on my routine. You know, I ain't eat nothing bad. Like this all right here is gonna be about 800-900 calories. So this ain't even bad. Maybe like 950. Yeah, on vacation now, was kind of not really working out, but man, we was walking a lot and doing a lot of things, traveling too, you know. I was just kind of overeating. Now, I would say we was walking a lot. Cause we went to Gillette Castle, Rhode Island, we was walking. You know, it was really the eating good part. Just do it yourself. Just do it yourself. Are you off? You should be off, huh? Snapback. Not your Shauna in the building. Andy Mine. Shout out to Andy Mine. Shout out to Boogie Time. Shout out to Miss Do It Yourself. Shout out to Coach Mean Rain. There you go. See, you got dedication. And that's what makes you a good coach, you know? You got dedication. Because really, I was going to get on the treadmill today. On my first day back at work, I had to go help somebody up front. And I was rushing. And I think I pulled a muscle like in my upper leg because I moved so fast. And I said, man, you know, I didn't like, I'm really supposed to stretch. I was supposed to stretch. I kind of did like a fake stretch. I really should have did a real stretch at work. You know, because, you know, I ain't been to work in 11 days. So I should have never did that fake stretch. Because I did do a fake stretch. I said, I ain't going to pull no muscle or nothing today. And look what happened to me. You know? So I should have really did a real stretch instead of doing a fake stretch at work. You know, trying to think nothing's gonna happen. So I always think something's gonna happen. If you go on vacation and you relax, make sure you stretch with anything that you're doing. You could be walking on the treadmill. You could be going for a hike. Make sure you stretch because your muscles need that warm up. I don't want to overdo it on this leg because I'm going to go soaking a little bit. Make sure you stretch. It was, man, because today, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm used to walking. You know, at work, I walk usually about 24,000 to 30,000 steps. But it was just for me hurry up and trying to rush this girl because she was already behind on her work and stuff like that. And I started moving all quick, and I know I pulled a muscle. You should stretch every day. And I usually do try to stretch every day. Well, at least before I start walking, like even at work. And if you ever really seen me walk like at work, I walk extremely fast at work, and I don't know why. Yeah, stretch. Don't try to stretch, you gotta do it. And see, I used to even wake up 20 minutes early from work and stretch before I even went to work. You know, like, you know, I'm a team lead, so I have to make my people stretch in the meeting before we even start working. You know, it's like 30 people, and I usually lead the stretch, but I wasn't really stretching, you know, like, that's the funny thing. I'm telling these people, yeah, go this way, go that way. And we didn't even really, like, you know, I didn't even really do a real stretch, and I was the one leading the stretch now. I felt bad. And I'm the one hurting that, look, limping at work. People like, what's going on? You know, one person was making fun of me because they was like, didn't you lead the stretch in the meeting today? I said, look at this dude trying to be funny. I said, this dude is trying to be funny. But we were trying to hurry up and get out there and do what we had to do. But I'm about to start making everybody stretch. Because, you know, really you can get fired at work if you really if you really don't stretch. Because they got a camera where we stretch at. And if you get hurt and have to go to the hospital and they see you skip the stretch at work, because a lot of people try to skip it. I ain't seen people get fired before. Or getting hurt at work. And when they review that camera, they ain't see you stretch. It's your fault. No, I think we will eventually. We will eventually talk about that. And yes, we did meet on YouTube. You know, YouTube brings phenomenal people together. You know, and all type of good people together. You know, it could bring friends together. It could bring, you know, YouTube is you know. We'll eventually talk about the subject. I'm gonna let Boogie lead on that, you know. You know, she's good with topics like that and stuff like that. You know, Boogie's real good with stuff like that. But like, you know, like that's how I met Snapback. You know what I mean? Snapback talk on the phone like every other day now. If it ain't every other day, it's at least once or twice a week. You know, some people you gain a bond with. You know, you're gonna tell who matches your. You're gonna tell who matches your vibe and stuff like that. You know, you're gonna tell who matches your vibe and stuff like that. You know, if you got a good connection with people, you're gonna feel that connection. That's all I'm really eating for the day, so my last little sandwich. You know, look, we don't, you know, with even like, that's how I found out about you, Coach Mean Rain. You know, I was in New Orleans. You know, we was in New Orleans with Miss Do It Yourself, Boogie Time, Mama Bowman, Living Life, LaShawn Success Systems. You know, and LaShawn was the one that told me about you. You know, I think Miss Do It, it was probably Miss Do It Yourself and LaShawn talking about, you know, because they was like, you know, they was talking about you. They was talking good about you. And I was like, I don't think I heard of Coach Mean Rain. And it was like, you got to check her out if you don't know Coach, you know, if you don't know Coach Mean Rain. And LaShawn was like, you know, go on our channel and say that, you know, you heard about her from us meeting down here in New Orleans, you know, because we was downstairs, you know, it was like little drinks. I got a salad, you know, and stuff like that. And we was downstairs and, you know, we was just talking about different YouTubers and, you know, some good people. And I was like, I don't think I heard of Coach Mean Rain. It was like, go look her up. That's when I found out about you. You know? You know, because I wasn't really on YouTube too much like that no more. Like I used to be. I used to be on YouTube way more. You know, if you kind of knew me from a little before this. But that's how I found out about you, Coach, you know. I was at the table with, you know, we was having a little meetup. And they told me about you, you know. And they said, you don't know Coach Mean Rain? And I was like, no, I don't know who that is. Let me go check it out, though. And I watched one of your videos when I was downstairs at the little table with them while they was talking. And that's how I got in touch, you know, find out about you. You know, you're going to find out from different people, you know. And I was like, man, a fitness coach, you know, like somebody, especially with somebody that's like, you know, you teaching how to lose weight. Especially with being a bigger person and how hard it is to lose weight and stuff like that. Because some people might need to hear that. You know, and it's not easy to lose weight. You know, some people just ain't got the mindset or something like that. You know, it might be harder for some people to lose weight. And you show like the dedication, you know, you be sweating it out, you be eating right, you be, you know, even if it's just eating a smaller meal, you know, yeah, and it does take patience, like, you know. To me, it's really about what you eat, you know. That was a big part of my thing, was really what I was eating. I was eating too many sweets. And I just cut sugars out basically completely. Except when I'm on vacation, but you know, I'm trying to eat some sweets, I'm trying to eat some cakes. When I remember, that's how I found out about you. You know. No, I appreciate all y'all coming in here. You know, because you always meet new people everywhere. YouTube is a good place to really connect, guys. Like, and you gotta think, you could be anywhere in the world. You could be all the way in India. You know, you might meet somebody from India. You might meet somebody from Greece. You might meet somebody from Italy. You might meet somebody. Look, one of my first subscribers was really from Hong Kong. I can't remember the dude's name because it's been so long ago. You know, I wish I could. And, you know, like, I don't know if he deleted his YouTube channel because I can't find it. Because, like, I did have his number, but it was like it wasn't WhatsApp. It was a different little app with the number. And he used to call me and show me around Hong Kong. And it was just cool that I met somebody on YouTube that was from Hong Kong. And you could see how they living all the way across the world. And seeing how they, you know, like, I'm not going to lie. When I first started YouTube, 80% of my people was not from America. I barely could get 1 or 2 people from America in my chat. You know, I don't know if it's because I was doing Pokemon content or what, But I barely could get anybody from America in my chat. You know, now I got a lot of Americans, which is good. You know, I'm not saying I got anything against anybody else, but half the time I couldn't understand their language, whatever they was writing in the chat, you know? You know, but I was glad they would support me. They was giving me some watch time, so, you know, they helped me out a lot. You know? That's why I always say shout out to the whole wide world. When you see me saying in my video, shout out to the whole wide world, I really mean that, because, you know, like, all my people is from, like, different continents, different countries when I first got on YouTube. I barely could find 1 or 2 American people on my chat, you know? And that's what I mean, that's why I really say shout out to the whole wide world when I do say it like that. I know some of y'all might not understand that, you know, so y'all might not really understand why I say that in my videos, but I barely could get, you know, I guess because this was 2024. This was really before a lot of small content creators were supporting each other and stuff like that. And that, I was like, man, you know, hopefully people start connecting with one another. And I like that. I kind of did, you know. Yeah, I always got love for Miss Do It Yourself because, you know, I remember Miss Do It Yourself. She used to, you know, she's in love with like Minnie Mouse, you know. I remember she was making this Minnie Mouse bag and stuff like that. You know, Miss Do It Yourself, I think she might have had like 7 or under 10 subscribers. And I'm like, man, this woman's really doing something herself. Like, you know, a lot of my subscribers, like, I believe it or not, a lot of people that I support had under 40 or 50 subscribers. You know, and then now it's good to see them over 500 to 1,000. You know, I remember you did do that shout out video to me, Miss Do It Yourself. You know, and that really made me feel good. You put me on the screen because I wasn't used to getting the shout outs. And I was used to the one doing the shout outs. So whenever I caught you, like whenever you did a shout out to me, that made me feel, you know, like that. Like, man, somebody did a shout out to me. You know, I'm used to doing the shout outs. How you doing, Priscilla? It's good to see you, Priscilla. You know, but I'm about to be getting off of here, guys. I ain't really want to. I was thinking about dropping a long form video, but I just said I was going to go live for a little bit today. You know, it's good. Man, they grow up so fast. My son's about to start school. My son's starting school in less than 2 weeks. Man, that makes me, I mean, I'm a proud daddy, don't get me wrong, but it's heartbreaking. I'm like, man, them 4 years went by quick and I was in school. I was like, man, that makes me feel old. I mean, I'm not even old, but it makes me feel old. I said, man, about to be in school already. And I didn't even get that much, you know, you're supposed to be, man, I don't know how to explain it. You know, y'all know because a lot of y'all are parents, you know, but and some of y'all even grandparents, but man, that makes you really wonder about things, you know? Like, man, it really does. I don't know how to explain it, but y'all know what I feel, you know? But look, I love y'all. I'm about to get off of here. Thank y'all for stopping in this thing. I really appreciate y'all. Yeah, I did bring my son to the zoo. You know, I'm gonna try to check out a little content later if I get time. What time is it? I'll probably have a little time to check out some content today. It ain't gonna be many videos, you know. I don't want to tell you I'm coming over to your channel. I don't have time to really come over to everybody's channel, but I'll try to make my way whenever I can. You know, but I love y'all. Y'all keep doing what y'all do. I'll see y'all another time. Thank y'all for stopping in. I know I didn't stay on the subject, but y'all know how I get excited.